success, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to and what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder. And f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought.
I can tell you that 7 years after Freddie Gray, that was 2015, spring, April, May. This is 2022. Communities like Sandtown, all we saw then and now in terms of investment was a renovated Western District Police Station and a new funeral home. That's what West Baltimore got. A new police station and a new funeral home. What kind of optics are they? Was Freddie Gray any different than 1968 Baltimore riots? Dr. King's passing, killing, murder? This is the same?
No, it wasn't. I mean, I think, well, first of all, people who are being violent and burning, that's, you know, all that's the same. But the point is what was the cause and what were they attempting to register?
I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns.
I love you.
They deserve an ounce. It's
got next. And I'll be quiet.
It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns.
First name's Doni, last name's Glover. In it to win it for the long haul, baby. I do thank God for this day. You know, yesterday we started off and we had Brother Sean with us, and we were sharing the Al-Fatiha, and I wanted to make sure that I shared the proper translation. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Sovereign of the day of judgment. Thee alone do we worship, thee alone do we seek for help. Guide us on the straight path, the path of those whom you have bestowed favor, not of those who have earned your anger or of those who have gone astray. That's the Al-Fatiha. And I won't do the Arabic out of respect for those whose Arabic is much better than mine. But we will also share the Lord's Prayer. And this is just in the spirit of starting off the year right. So, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. And if you are not of any particular faith, then we'll just do a moment of silence to acknowledge the Spirit of the Lord. We also want to reflect on all of those that all of us have lost. People who have gotten their wings, gone on to glory. We want to take a moment just to acknowledge those many people. Yesterday we talked about Malik Rahman, Brother Ellsworth Bay, Brother Bay, Israel Kaysan, so many giants, people in my family, people in your family, my friends, your friends. As we go into this new year, may their spirits inspire us to be our best, to be our very best. Ashe and amen. All right. All right. So, what are your goals for this new year? Do you have any goals? What's on your mind? And if you would like to be a guest on this show, just email me, Doni, D-O-N-I, at bmorenews.com. We have a couple of events already scheduled on the books. We have one for next Thursday, January the 12th, the Black Wall Street MLK, in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You know, a lot of time in my events, at our events, people want to come up and get one of these plaques, and they want to do a Martin Luther King speech. It's always interesting when somebody want to talk. Now, if you come from Philadelphia or DC to Baltimore, or New York to Baltimore, yeah, I'm gonna let you get away with a couple extra minutes because you drove that far or however to get here to get your award. But if you live up the block and you just being greedy and loquacious, there's a proper way to interrupt people who are talking too long. That's the first thing. Give one of them. They don't hear you. Then you go stand beside them. If that don't work, then you put your arm around them. And by then they should catch the hint. It's time to, 86 that. Restaurant term, which means you're out of a particular item. So that's the next Black Wall Street. Thursday, January 12th, Black Wall Street MLK. And this will be at Terra Cafe. I drank me some ginger last night. Let me tell you, I got some of the best rest ever. Last time I remember, it was 7:30. Lord have mercy. That's all I remember. Actually, it was 7:10. I do encourage you to try some ginger. Put some ginger in your life. So, Black Wall Street MLK set for January 12th. Economic empowerment was one of Dr. King's most momentous themes. Having gone to Morehouse, we were drilled on so many aspects of his life. And one part of his story that always sticks out with me, for instance, a lot of people don't know that Martin Luther King Jr.'s mother was assassinated. Did you know that? Interesting fact. Did you know that Martin was not his original name? Did you know that? Did you know? Anyway, here's a quote from Dr. King. And although this event is on, the 12th, 3 days, it's in the atmosphere of his birthday. So don't hold it against us. Talk with Brother Terrence. We have not done an event over there in years. No, a year. And I didn't want too much more time to go by. And plus, this is his birthday season. We're in the Capricorn birthday season. Capricorns are polite bullies. Take that to the bank. And I mean that in a good way. My son is one. My sister was one. Martin Luther King, Muhammad Ali, polite bullies. They typically fight for good cause. David Miller, polite bully. Well, here's the quote. The most critical problem in the other America, ours, is the economic problem. By the millions, people in the other America find themselves perishing on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. The fact is that the black man in the United States of America is facing a literal depression. When there's massive unemployment in the black community, it's called a social problem. Let me repeat that. When there is massive unemployment in the black community, it's called a social problem. But when there's massive unemployment in the white community, it's called a depression. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Let me just cut this phone on mute. People sending messages to Sarah from Juanita Bass over there at Macio's. We're going to be recognizing her as one of the honorees. And we do these awards. We do these Black Wall Street Awards to celebrate Black entrepreneurship. We celebrate Black entrepreneurs and professionals, as well as the people who support them regardless of race. We've honored every race on earth, including an indigenous American by way of the Bering Strait. We've also recognized some indigenous Americans of the darker hue. A lot of people don't know that indigenous Americans were light and dark. Some came through the Bering Strait, through Alaska, and others came from the South. Black people tend to come from the South. And don't ask me how old, because I'll tell you, while the Indians who came through the Bering Strait date back some 12,000 years, Blacks who came in through South America, they go back at least 12,000 years. I think it is important that many of us learn our history. America has the assumption that all Black people came to America by way of the slave trade. Mike Randolph, shout out to Tampa. Not all Black people were slaves. Not all Black people are descendants of slavery. Not all white people are descendants of, some white people were slaves. Some white people were indentured servants. Here in these Americas, you think of those pirates down in the Caribbean, and that's why you got to get my second book, I Am Black Wall Street. I do talk about pirates in this book. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Black Tales. If you haven't, it's on Hulu. Check out Black Tales, a story about pirates and what was happening. America is under this broad assumption that Black people are all descendants of slaves, and it's absolutely not true. And I thank goodness for Dr. Helena Hicks, elder, for pointing that out to me. Dr. Helena Hicks led one of the first protests. She says the first, I wasn't there. Sit-ins at Reed's Drugstore here in Baltimore. Historic, fascinating woman. But as she was sharing with me about her history, as she traced her own roots, it was an ever-present reminder that we cannot afford to allow other people to tell us who we are. So you got to do your own research, whether it's Ancestry.com, you use some of that, because in my experience, Ancestry.com is limited. And let me tell you exactly where they're limited. Few, if any, of these companies, you got Ancestry.com, you got the other one, all of them do the swab and you send it in. But let me tell you what they don't have. They don't have a database of Native Americans, Black Native Americans in particular. My great-grandmother was Blackfoot. That doesn't show up on any of these tests at all. You know why? Because they don't have a sampling of Black Native Americans. They do, but they don't acknowledge. The same way it happened, again, when Black people and Indians were moved off of the East Coast out of Florida in 3 Seminole Wars. Many of us don't even know about the Seminole Wars. As the Europeans were clearing the East Coast, the last place that the Europeans had not cleared out, and I do mean Black people and Native Americans, was Florida. Up until 1831, you get a copy of my book, I Am Black Wall Street, the story behind the story. How did those people get to Oklahoma? But the first people to come, so the Seminole Wars was the goal of the Seminole Wars was, again, to rid Florida, which was not an original colony. It was not one of the original 13 colonies, was to rid Florida of Black people and Indians. Because the Black people and the Indians in Florida were strapped. They had guns. So as the European settlers encroached on these people's peace of mind, they were uncomfortable trying to bring slavery or bringing slavery to Florida when you got some Black people over there with guns. Because what's that going to do? You in chains, you all cooped up, or however that looked. But somebody that looks just like you is over there living. And they got a peace. They got some, something to protect their freedom. And they hooked up with the Indians. Did you know you could get your freedom if you went to Florida, if you escaped to Florida? Florida was owned by Spain up until 1831. This is around the time that, what's his name? Andrew Jackson come through there. Andrew Jackson wanted to put all of the Indians on a Trail of Tears and send them out to Oklahoma, Indian territory. It wasn't even in Oklahoma. It was Indian territory. And that's what they did. That's where the Trail of Tears come from. And as I've read many stories about the Trail of Tears, there's always this depiction that Black people were slaves on the Trail of Tears. Not so. Do your damn homework. Stop listening to what idiots are trying to tell us. We know that all of them were slaves because one of them I write about in this book, and his name is Chief John Horse. He's the baddest Black man I've ever heard of in America, besides my dad. Chief John Horse. They called him Gopher John. And like Frederick Douglass, he emerged from humble beginnings, even servitude, to become one of the baddest, most feared, fearless, and fierce warriors this land has ever seen. Look him up, Chief John Horse. And he led those Black soldiers and Seminoles. And Seminoles is not a tribe. Seminoles, Seminoles, like Florida State Seminoles, were a collection of indigenous peoples. Seminoles comes from the word Cimarrones. They called it the wild ones, the people who escaped. They went to Florida. Andrew Jackson was going down there with that Donald Trump attitude. Oh, we're going to put him back into slavery and put him back on the plantation. No, we're going to send him out there to Florida. Well, Chief John Horse wasn't going down without a fight. And those are the stories. And Chief John Horse is important because this was one of the most significant wars ever. It was essentially the largest slave insurrection, since they want to play with slaves and say all Black people were slaves. Those Black people and those Seminole Indians fought side by side. And so they fought to a truce. They will tell you that all of the Blacks on the Trail of Tears were slaves. I'm telling you they weren't, because they included Chief John Horse, who was a soldier, and he led 200 families, including their soldiers, to Oklahoma. Then it was called Indian Territory. We're not taught that. We're not taught that Black people actually fought. There was kickback to slavery. We're not taught We're taught that the first black people that came to this country were slaves. And I'm telling you, do your damn homework. I tell you what, look up Juan Garrido. Michael Randolph, look up Juan Garrido, Garrido, Spanish conquistador. Now, I'm not saying what the conquistador was doing was all that noble, but he was not a slave. They came here to conquer land on behalf of the Spanish crown. Remember, Columbus got lost. He was down in the West Indies somewhere. But there were those that did make it to North America. And some of them were black and free. Tell you something else a lot of us don't know is that prior to the transatlantic slave trade, prior to Goofy, Christopher Columbus, he was lost. He had a tour guide, Pedro Nino Alonso. Why did Columbus have a tour guide? How did he have a tour guide? Because before Spain and Portugal turned white, it was black. Yes, I said it. Spain and Portugal were dominated by Moors. And I'm sure that made certain white people uncomfortable too. But this is the history, folks. But America has a way of simplifying it, and all of us get confused when we don't know our history. Ferdinand and Isabella financed. They were Spanish. The Portuguese, the Spanish and the Portuguese both financed Christopher Columbus because Columbus was a tricky one. He was pimping both Spain and Portugal. He was trying to get money to come across seas. Why was he trying to come across seas? Because he knew black people had been coming across the seas, the Atlantic Ocean, for instance. The Moors dominated Spain, Portugal, the Iberian Peninsula, and other parts of Europe for 800 years. Blacks were royalty all across Europe. You name the country, Scotland, England, Germany, Spain, Portugal, all of these countries. France, you look at it. I don't know if I've ever seen any in France. And what I want you to look up is Moors, M-O-O-R-S, coat of arms. Moors coat of arms. And what you will find, like, you know how you got the crest on those fancy Wimbledon jackets and, you know, other important institutions. Well, you know they look too fly for black people not to have some influence in there. So if you look up the Moors coat of arms, you will find chocolate, jet black, Moors, all across European history, all across European art. You cannot deny the black man. And this is not to down anybody else. It is certainly to inform and help empower my own community, because this is blackusa.news. And too often we've been lied to. Too often we haven't done our homework. Too often we're letting some idiot tell us who we are. And I don't care who you are. You be Italian, Jewish, German, whatever. Look up your own damn history. If you don't look up your history, a lot of our grandparents, for instance, in the black community, grandparents, great-grandparents, told us about their grandmother was Blackfoot, Cherokee, Sioux, whatever. America has this thing on us where oh, my people were Indians. Yeah! Your people were Indians, indigenous, autochthonous. How do you like that word? Indigenous. That means you're from here. We have the notion that all of us were brought here. Maybe we were already here. We got here on our own. And so how did we fall into slavery? They had better weapons and we lost. We can't be so gullible to believe everything somebody tells us, especially somebody who don't know. And you know they don't know. I was sharing with my brother. Did he know the song about Santa Claus? My brother is one of the most pro-black people I mean, he taught me some things. I was 15 years old, just soaking it up like a sponge. Some of the authors, Naeem Akbar, Jawanza Kunjufu. I remember some of that early on. But the other one was Dr. Ben. Dr. Ben, he would say Dr. Ben Yakinen. And I'm not going to speak ill of other cultures. I will say that blacks, Africans, Moors, schooled Europe. You can bet all the tea in China. And from Rome to England, blacks were in royalty in all of these places. Come on, man, we started it. We are the oldest culture on earth. You do know that. You do know that black people are the oldest. You didn't? Yeah. I know we're skipping around. If you want to check who is the oldest, whose DNA is in everybody, it's the San Bushman, S-A-N, Bushman, the San Bushman of Southern Africa. They have the oldest DNA on earth. If you want to know what the San Bushmen look like, think of Nelson Mandela. Think of Nelson Mandela. Mandela's eyes were like this. And some of us would say he had Chinese eyes. Well, if they got the oldest DNA on earth, how in the hell they got Chinese eyes? The Chinese have their eyes. Did you know? Look it up. San, S-A-N, Bushman. Yeah, like the Bush, B-U-S-H-M-E-N. Our ancestors, all of our ancestors, everybody, Japanese, Chinese, black, white, European, Latino, San Bushman, S-A-N, Bushman. And I didn't name my son Hassan because of that. I named him Hassan behind the Khan, A-K-A-N, but that's another story. But up in Europe, Christopher Columbus wanted to come across the waters. He got money from Ferdinand and Isabella, who moved into the Alhambra that was built by Moors. The Moors built some of the first universities in Europe. But Columbus got some tour guides, some of the Moors who had been traveling across the Atlantic, and they brought his old dusty self over here. Now, what did Columbus do when he got over here? Oh, you've seen the movies. He's telling the queen, oh, we're going to go back and find you riches. They're going to bring back gold. Just thirsty. And this is what happened when people don't have class. People who've never had anything finally get something. Nouveau riche, we call them. Nouveau, new, riche, rich, newly rich. People never had anything. So as soon as they get to the Americas, to the Caribbean, they're raping women. They killing men. They raping some men. We've seen it in American history. This is what enslavers do. My people killed your people. Some people so diabolically or just homosexual. And they raped. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I know rape was a part of it. And that's a part of how the people blended. Some was natural. Some people, of different groups naturally liked each other without rape. But Columbus and his people were known for raping people. Indigenous people, our ancestors. Because that's what savages do. Then they want to call us savages. No, you are the savage. You went over there and people gave you corn when you were hungry. They gave you medicine. They gave you indigenous herbs. They gave you gold. You give them a few trinkets. And all of the movies paint the indigenous peoples as dumb, stupid, uncivilized. The only thing the European had that the indigenous did not have was gunpowder. I guess they had swords too, but the Indians had spears, they had arrows, so they weren't new to metallurgy. And there's no slight on anybody. It's just the facts. But I was telling a friend that we have to revise the crap that has been shoved down our throats all our lives, all our parents' lives, all our grandparents' lives. Lies! They lie, their feet stink, they don't love Jesus, and they go around smelling girls' bicycle seats. That's what happens when you believe lies. You become a fart, insignificant, because you actually let some idiot tell you who they are, who you are, and they don't even know who the hell they are. We welcome the discussion. We welcome the questions. We want you to ask questions. And if you can show me better about how the people got from Florida all the way to Oklahoma, if you want to tell me something about it, I'd love to hear. The more I dug into that story, the more, I mean, when I first learned about Black Wall Street in Tulsa, I was just blown away. I'd never heard of Black Wall Street, so I thought. But we all been taught about Black Wall Street. We've all been taught about it and just didn't know it. You dropped a bomb on me, baby. You dropped a bomb on me. We thought it was about love. Charlie Wilson and the Gap Band, and the Gap does not stand for a gap in the tube or the gap in the legs. The Gap stands for Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. That's where the Gap Band got its name from. They were telling us about Black Wall Street way back then. We just didn't know the code. We always had a code. Hootie hoo. Izzy, nizzy, wizzy, wizzy. You know what I mean? We always spoke some code because that was a matter of survival. You can't say, hey, we're escaping from this plantation, for those who were in slavery. We're escaping from this plantation at 11 o'clock p.m. tonight when Harriet Tubman comes in. No, it wasn't. Some people had diagrams in their plats. Sisters had those plats, and the plats had diagrams, maps. Woo there, we're going to meet up at the Bobby, you know what I mean? So I say, whoa. It might even turn into a song. Our ancestors were phenomenally talented. And let me tell you something else. Roots, Kunta Kinte, Chicken George, Sambo. America has a way of saying that Black people enjoyed slavery. What kind of dumb shit is that? Don't buy it. That's the only cuss word I'm going to say all year, maybe not. Don't believe no dumb foolishness like that. Nobody enjoyed being nobody's damn slave. Come on, how savage is that? But that's what Hollywood, and that's why I do media. Not just the show or books, encouraging others. That's really where I'm at this juncture, is inspiring other new journalists to come on the scene to be unapologetically Black in their approach. You don't have to apologize for your Blackness. God made you Black for a reason. Embrace it, or whomever you are. But this is Black USA, so it tends to be the majority of the audience. But we know other people listen in. And we're not anti-anybody. Mr. Zuckerberg and his people, over the course of past decade, have attempted to paint me as some type of racist. Hurt my feelings. If someone would say that about me, I'm not a racist. You're the racist. because I espouse history and facts. Mr. Zuckerberg and Karen came to me and said that Harriet Tubman, for instance, did not free 1,000 slaves. And I said, Mr. Zuckerberg and Karen, you are wrong. You don't know your history. Well, the facts say that Harriet Tubman only freed 72 people. Okay, Mr. Zuckerberg and Karen, you need to go back and do your homework, because with the help of the Union Army in South Carolina at the Combahee River, Harriet Tubman freed 700 slaves. And so if you missed that 700, you probably missed a lot more, Mr. Zuckerberg and Karen. So stop blocking my page. Took my page with 211,000 people. How dare you? And I've not been the same. That's why I just love my LinkedIn crowd. LinkedIn don't do stupid stuff like that. They tell me that Zuckerberg will want to look like Julius Caesar. Whatever. Did you know that there were black Roman emperors? Did you know that black people were ruling empires long before Julius Caesar come on the scene? America has a way, even Europeans have a way of trying to tell story. That's why they had to throw Othello in there. They try to tell a story without the black man, but you can't. It's impossible. We're too significant. All across Europe, they have Moorish statues. In the Catholic Church, the shrine of the Black Madonna. You got Catholics out here that don't even know, black Catholics that don't even know about the shrine of the Black Madonna, that the Pope prays to the black woman. Did you know? Go look it up. I got time. I'll wait. The shrine of the Black Madonna, black woman. Jet black. Ain't no mistake. There's no mistake. God is black and she's a woman. I learned that when I went to the Middle East, that God was originally referred to as a woman. Where did we get to calling God him? He, Father God. This is European. It's not indigenous. It's not original. That's after the Nicene Council, roughly in 300 AD. Nicene Council was like the first council of the leading church figures around mostly Europe. The Ethiopians went there for the first one. That's my understanding. And the Ethiopians never went back because they saw it as some chicanery. There's certain things I believe and certain things I won't touch. And we're going to not knock people's beliefs, but do your damn homework. I know where I was going. I was telling you that my brother and I were talking. I asked him last night, did you know that Santa Claus was a black man? I challenge anybody out there to look it up. Did you ever look up who the hell Santa Claus is? Because I like Santa Claus. I was bad when they took it away from me. Big kid. But Santa Claus was a black man. Look it up. Look up who the hell St. Nicholas was. Look it up. Tell me what you find. Tell me what you find when you look up the origin, the ethnicity of St. Nicholas. He was a black man. They actually got a song out there. I heard it first in Morehouse. I don't care what the white man say. Santa Claus is a black man. Did you know that? He is. Look him up. Go look him up. Go look. And you know, he looked like Doug Sands. The picture I saw, Doug Sands is a preacher from Baltimore. Historic, did wonderful, powerful, strong things. Still does. Doug Sands. St. Nicholas, the picture I saw of St. Nicholas looks just like Doug Sands. And so I already told you that the original DNA on Earth comes out of Southern Africa, like Mandela, and they were not the jet black people out of Africa. They were not black like this background. Some of us are that hue. Very, very melanated. But the San Bushmen are not. They're right around the equator. My map, my globe. No, they're below the equator. Then melanin, that's a whole other discussion. Melanin. It's melanin. Africans can be light, can be dark, doesn't matter. Know your history, people. If you know your history, then you're less likely to fall for somebody's stupid explanation of who you are and where you come from. And that's why I had to write that book on Black Wall Street, because the more I dug, the more I found, and it was not matching the storyline that America had given me. The black people came here in chains. We was Chicken George and Fiddler and Kizzy. We tried to run away, chop our foot off, and so we ended up saying, okay, no, wherever there was slavery, there was pushback. Venezuela, Panama, Brazil, all across America. Denmark, Vesey, Charleston, South Carolina. A lot of y'all got ancestors from South Carolina. I got a granddaddy from Orangeburg, South Carolina, Cordoba, down there with Claflin University, which I had never heard of before. Denmark Vesey wanted to leave the most elaborate slave insurrection in American history, Denmark Vesey. They built the citadel because of Denmark Vesey. That's how bad he was. That's the fear of God he put in slavers, who some people call crackers. They call them crackers because they cracked the whip on them. That's where the term crackers come from. That's pretty simple. The word nigger has a different origin and quite different from what many people think. Negus, Negus. Niger, Niger. Nigeria. It's amazing how words come about and the power that we give. And you won't catch me using the N-word because I'm not giving anyone permission to call me the N-word in public. There's going to be a fight. Call the police. Get the lawyer. Get the bail. There's going to be a fight. I don't care where we at. I've learned that you have to check racism wherever it is as soon as possible. I've been got before. I have been got before. I've had people say some things to me that I would not tolerate today. I don't know how I might react, but I ain't taking it. A white man called me boy before. Took me by surprise. I thought he was a nice white guy until the governor came around, and at the time it was William Donald Schaefer. Called me boy. You have to deal with racism on the spot. I am not saying put your hands on nobody. I do like the song, Try Jesus, Don't Try Me. We want peace. But you better defend yourself, protect yourself. Somebody put their hands on you, deal with them. Don't let nobody put their hands on you, nobody. Male, female, young, old. And I don't like bullies. Let me tell you that I don't like bullies. I like Capricorns, they polite bullies. But I don't like people that go around and muscle on people, taking their money, charging them protection. I don't like bullies. The only thing a bully understands is an alley apple, oops, upside the head. And you do it right, they will never bother you again. Because most bullies are chumps. I ain't defending no daggone bullies. You go around bullying people, you deserve your ass whipped. Like Donald Trump. And that's the problem. This country won't hold him accountable. White males will not hold Donald Trump accountable, and it will come back around and bite this whole country, particularly white males, in the ass. That's how I see it. That's karma. You can't go around just doing anything you want willy-nilly to people without repercussions. God has a vengeance for Donald Trump nobody can imagine. None of us. It's called karma, and she's sweet and on time. They don't want to prosecute him because to prosecute him would lay the precedent, just like Baltimore County. Baltimore County has never had anybody but white males as the county executive. Isn't that racist? The Baltimore County Police Force, 80-some% white. Isn't that racist? I mean, in this day and time, all your cops is 80% white. Baltimore County, the police force is 80% white. All them black people out there. Black people make up at least 30% of the county. And you got a lot of Latinos. I don't know who's been doing the damn census, but you got Latinos galore in Baltimore County. This means that your law enforcement, your law force, your law enforcement, your police force, that's what I was looking for, should be reflective, more reflective of a diversifying community. And so I mentioned the white males in Baltimore County. Right now, we got Johnny Ochesky out there. I actually supported Johnny when he won by 17 votes. I was there as they recounted the votes all the way down to the 17th. That's why I didn't understand why Armstead Jones down in Baltimore City has still got a job. He had 1,800 voting irregularities with Sheila Dixon in 2016 and had more in 2020. Why is this man still having a job? Baltimore County recounted the votes for Johnny Ochesky, who won by 17 votes, all the way down to the 17 votes. But Armstead Jones still has a job in Baltimore City. So if you have another election with Armstead Jones is still in charge, then you know what you got. You got a hot bowl of mess. And that's what Baltimore is, a hot mess. Hot mess. Hot mess. Baltimore City. Hot mess. Because we don't ask basic questions and we don't hold people accountable. There's no way on earth Armstead Jones should still be in Baltimore County. But let me get back to Baltimore County. Baltimore County's had all white males in charge of the county. Always. So when Catherine Pugh had her challenges, Mary Bubala, who was at Channel 13, as was, remember, Kai Jackson was over at Channel 13. But see, this a lot of people don't know. Channel 13 was the first, and Charles said it on the show the other day, was the first station to bring on black people, like Wiley Daniels. So there's a long history, long before the people who are there now, long before them, there were black people there. There's a tradition that has been set. So when Mary Bubala asked about, is it time for a change from black female mayors in Baltimore, it was racist, it was ignorant, it was condescending, and it was stupid. And I wrote about her. I put my pen on her. I put my ink pen on her. Yes, I did. And I would do it again. Because nobody said anything about Baltimore County and the 40 white males or however many has been out there as county executive. No one said anything about them. Baltimore County got all kinds of issues. They get swept under the rug because that's America, white male privilege. Just a fact. It's a fact, Jack. Don't get mad at me. Change the storyline. They had a woman out there. They had a woman in Baltimore County as the police chief, and the white males couldn't stomach it. Their ego was being challenged. I can only imagine. She seemed like a decent woman to me. I can only imagine she brought, but that's what happens when you're trying to change American history. From Barack Obama to Wes Moore to Jackie Robinson. That's what happens when you're trying to change the storyline. You get pushed back because some ignorant white male doesn't want change. They want it all to themselves, like Donald Trump. They want to keep all of America to themselves, like Christopher Columbus. You want to justify rape. You want to justify murder. And people ain't going for that crap no more. You're going to have to come better than that. And I'm not picking on white males today. I am saying that it's time to diversify. Baltimore is 63% black. Baltimore County right next door. Wouldn't be no Baltimore County if it weren't for black people, because I know a lot of black people in Baltimore County with money, higher median income. And that police force needs to be reflective of that in Baltimore County. Baltimore City, a little more even-handed. Almost half the police in Baltimore black or of color, Latino, Asian, from other countries. That's the big issue, the browning of America. That's why people like the governor down in Florida are fighting so hard, but you can't stop it. America's getting brown and brown about a minute. Your grandchildren, Mr. White Man, are going to be mixed. A lot of white women love black men. Always have. And so you have more mixed babies. You can't hold on to those old values because they don't apply anymore. Get over it. While you have the power, be nice to people. But some people think this country only belongs to them. How retarded, ignorant, stupid. This country belongs to us. Everybody. That's what Trump has a problem. That's what the white males, that's why they won't prosecute Donald John Trump. That's just like having a kid who's acting out and you don't want to spank that butt. My mother would have whipped his ass a long time ago. My daddy would have whipped him like a Hebrew. He'd have put a Toby Kunta Kinte ass whipping on him. You let Donald Trump have my daddy, he'd be much more respectful. I remember Donald Trump was fussing with the little 13-year-old girl, the girl trying to save the world, save the environment. Who does that? Or he was cracking on people with disabilities. And Melania in it too. She ain't gone nowhere. She with it. Had Michelle Obama been anything like Melania, they'd have talked about her forever. Donald Trump brings this woman, a sex worker, into the White House. But they talk smack about Michelle Obama, a gorgeous queen. We heard what you said, Donald Trump. We saw what you said about people with disabilities. We remember that. You're a cruddy individual. And we'll go around, come around. Might skip a generation, but it will catch up with you. Karma. Okay, that's enough for today. My name's Donnie Glover. Be nice, learn your history, share it with somebody, and we'll be back tomorrow. Black Wall Street is happening on the 12th, Black Wall Street, MLK at Terra Cafe. You can go to blackwallstreetmlk.eventbrite.com. We're also gearing up for February 3rd. February 3rd, we're doing Black Wall Street DMV. Shout out to my partner, Pharaoh, the German Shepherd, who's saying, let's go, Daddy. It's time to go. Got to go run. Pharaoh's like Cat Williams' son. When they wake up, they just want to run. Have a beautiful day. Good morning, world. Be nice to somebody. Help somebody. Be a blessing to somebody. Make somebody smile. Check on the elders. Check on the elders. Check on your neighbors. The weather's nice. Get some exercise. Get outside. Some fresh air. I'm working on my first trip to the gym for 2023. All right. Talk to you soon.